Hey guys, what's up? It's Pollo here to talk about some current characters that are getting changes in version 6.7. These are characters that already exist, but they're getting some improvement. So if you enjoyed the video or found it useful, please consider subscribing. It really helps the channel. So the characters are Sino, Yaemiko, Diona, Beidou, Titi, Yumemiski, and Ryothley. In this video, we will cover the first four: Sino, Yaemiko, Diona, and Beidou. Starting with Sino, there's been a lot of talk about him because one specific stat in the new formula is not that complicated, you will see. Sino is an Electro main DPS whose main niches right now are Hyper Bloom with Hydro and Dendro and Overload with Chorus and other characters. Well, they gave him an upgrade that enables a new playstyle: Stellar Conduct. There are two small changes. First, his passive talent that make it so when the screen has the Sino's unique mark, you press the elemental skill, it releases 3 lightning bolts. Those bolts will now deal Stellar Conduct damage when you are inside a Stellar Conduct area. Basically, they're pushing him toward teams with Cryo and Electro. So now Sino will have 3 different niches. Now here comes the somewhat controversial part. The next passive talent adds a bonus to these new Stellar Conduct hits based on Elemental Mastery. In the English-speaking community, people are saying this is what makes Sino's broken. I will show you the formulas on the screen. The first formula makes more sense because the Stellar Conduct formula is similar to the lunar ones. The additive lunar damage is applied at the end, just like Laumo and Iluga, giving Sino a great increase in base DPS compared to now. That makes sense. But then you have people trying to argue it works like a normal additive in a lunar formula, and that will be insanely broken. It will make Sino's base DPS the highest in the game by far, around 36,000. In my standards, that's the best. But these are leaks, so everything can still change. Do I think they will keep him that strong? No, I don't. I believe they will go with the first formula. I'm sticking with that one. Sino get a nice boost if you play him with Stellar Conduct. No broken. This version of Sino's with his 5-star weapon will want Sand and Goblet of Elemental Mastery and crit stat in Circlet, something similar to Nefer. Finally, there's a super interesting change that means you won't have to use his Elemental Burst. If you use his Elemental skill outside of his Elemental Burst state, you will enter that state for 6 seconds. That's enough time to do some Electro normal attack until Sino's symbol appear on screen, so you use Elemental skill and triggers the Stellar Conduct lightning bolts. Then it ends, but you can almost immediately repeat the process. So basically pressing normal attacks and Elemental skill multiple times throughout the rotation. You will see how it plays when it actually drops. I can't show a gameplay of it. Yaemiko also has several changes. First, when you use her Elemental skill to summon her turrets, they now last longer on field and deal a bit of extra damage when they are summoned. That's already a bit more DPS, but if you play her with Stellar Conduct, it gets even better. Those extra hits on summon will now deal Stellar Conduct damage, and every so often her lightning bolts will deal additional Stellar Conduct damage. It seems to happen about 3 times per 20 seconds rotation. It might go up to 4 with good Electro and Cryo application. Important note, you won't really want to use Jai's Elemental Burst with this playstyle. It's just Elemental skill 3 times and swap out. Overall, if you play Jai with a Stellar Conduct, her DPS becomes roughly similar to her Aggravate playstyle. So it's solid. They adapt her for this new reaction if you want to use it, but it's not crazy broken. For this build, you will want attack in Sands and Goblets with crit circlet, similar to Flints or Inefa. Now for the simpler changes, Diona or Diona, I don't know. When you use her Elemental skill for the next 20 seconds, every Superconduct, Stellar Conduct, or Cryo Swirl reaction will trigger extra projectiles from Diona, giving her a bit more DPS, a little bit more. Her Constellation Seeds is also improved. In addition to the original effect, Diona now gains 25% more HP, health points, and characters inside her field of the Elemental Burst get 40% additional bonus damage for Superconduct, Stellar Conduct, and Cryo Swirl reaction. This is actually pretty good for characters like Sandrone, Jaimikos, and Sino. Not so much on Diona herself since she doesn't do Stellar Conduct damage, so overall she's noticeably better support than before. Remember that giving Elemental Mastery to those characters helps a lot. The other characters who doesn't do Stellar Conduct damage is Bei, though. Her changes are: holding her elemental skill now only needs one hit taken to gain max charge. Remember, it's up to 2. Well, now you will only need to be hit once. Also, for every hit accumulated, you reduce the cooldown by 4 seconds and gain 8 energy. This can be done every 15 seconds. This means you might be able to use her elemental skill twice in a row if you are taking consistent damage. Hold E, release, immediately hold E again, and release. Her Constellation Seeds now also does this. While a character is on field inside a Stellar Conduct area, enemies will have 15% reduced cryo resistance during Beido's Elemental Burst. It also gives the on-field character 200 Elemental Mastery. Reducing cryo resistance and giving Elemental Mastery sounds like an excellent synergy with Sandrone. And that's it for now, everyone. The strongest points were at the beginning. The 4-star characters got some nice buff that makes them relevant again. Great free-to-play options for Sandrone and the upcoming Stellar Conduct characters. I will cover Titi, Ryoflei, and Yume Miski in the next video. Thank you for your time and support, and I'll see you in the next one.